There was a time where she believed in salvation. She had had a name before. She was a woman of faith, of devotion, someone who gave everything she had, trusting it would protect her from the darkness that crept around the edges of the world. But faith is not always enough, and certainly not for the heretic saint. Welcome everybody to the story of the Daemonifuge. Epheral Stern, known as the Trispawn, the Daemonifuge, the heretic saint and the sainted savior, is one of my earliest memories about getting into 40k. I remember buying this really cool looking graphic novel, not really understanding what it was or what it was about, but just liking the cover art of it, and then reading it again and again and again until the pages would start to get torn and the book itself would almost fall apart. This story is about a sister who, through catastrophic missions and faith, gets into some of the most dangerous situations and comes out as something truly unique and truly powerful even within the setting of 40k. The girl Epheral Stern was promised to the Adeptus Sororitas, the Sisters of Battle, by her parents even before her birth, as many young girls are within the universe of 40k. Honestly, if I was a parent and I had the chance to give up my kid to any sort of organizations like the Sister of Battles, I definitely would, because despite that all of the artwork shows the sisters always being in terrible situations, their lives are generally some of the best that you can get within 40k for regular people. You're guaranteed an education, you're guaranteed food, you're guaranteed a job that makes a difference for those around you. The Sisters of Battle, no matter the order, is a ray of light within the universe, even if that ray of light is really just from a flamethrower. She was raised at something called the Saint Sabbat Schola Progenium. Basically, imagine monasteries are dedicated to the different saints and heroes within the faction, and Saint Sabbat is generally one of the more well-known heroes of the Imperium, and therefore anyone raised here is raised within her belief system. Alongside hundreds of others, she took her oaths of adherence on Terra and ended up joining the Order of Our Martyred Lady. Stern's life and destiny was changed forever on the world of Parnes, where she was a part of an investigation into a lost convent that the Order of the Martyred Lady had lost all contact with. This Order of Relic Keepers has been walking the razor's edge of darkness, as upon their planet they have discovered something truly terrible and magnificent, an entrapped demon in the ice of the Northern Pole, but not just any type of demon, a greater daemon of Slanesh, a keeper of secrets. The Order of Sisters has been studying this dark spawn of the Prince of Pleasure, believing that their faith and discipline for the Emperor would protect and guide them as they attempted to wrest secrets and shine a light into the darkness. While doing this, untold number of their sisters would fall to corruption, killing and mutilating each other, and much worse, all in the name of the daemon. But still, the Order of Relic Keepers continued their studies, making sure to catalog all they learned about the great enemy, despite kneeling in the blood of everyone that they've ever loved. At the very end, even those strongest in faith and spirit remained, the daemon broke free and decided to repay the sisters with its full attention and creativity. Astaroth, the Keeper of Secrets, flayed, tortured and violated 700 sisters, but decided that such a fate was not enough for their insolence, and instead of letting their souls get torn apart screaming in the warp, he crafted their bones, flesh and souls into a horrific structure known as the Screaming Cage. In this terrible state, the sisters' pain would be shared amongst them and amplified, creating an engine of torment that would live forever, allowing the daemon to feed in the light on their despair. However, The daemon in its hubris underestimated the sisters, as even in this violation they remained faithful to the God Emperor, and with their minds linked, so was their faith amplified. This was to such a degree that they gained the power to resurrect a member of their order, Sister Muriel. Upon her, they used their faith-based psychic powers to enhance her body, fortify her mind, and most importantly, they imparted all of the secrets that they have learned into her subconscious, suppressing it and guarding it against anyone who would try to get a hold of it, and then they sent her out into the wilderness of the planet, the sole survivor, her sanity strained, but her faith remained. She survived alone on Parnas for some time afterward, reportedly writing the Stern Codex in her own blood, containing the forbidden knowledge that would seep out from her subconscious little by little. The book shows it in such a cool way that this power is so horrible, powerful, and dark that the book, which is a humble logbook, starts to terribly twist and transmute into a dark tome as she places the knowledge upon the pages. Upon returning to the Imperium after getting saved, Stern was held in a cell for years at a sister's convent. They were awaiting an inquisitor. This was due to the fact that the sisters of the convent were besides themselves because they had seen Sister Muriel, or as she would come to be called, Epheral Stern, clearly performing feats that she shouldn't be able to, and as such, she was either a saint or a terrible abomination witch. As the Inquisitor Silas' hand arrived at the monastery, Chaos played its hand and attempted to kill the prisoner. They did this by a demon possessing the guard that would venture into Epheral Stern's cell in order to kill her. That is when Sister Epheral Stern dodged point-blank gunfire, threw her assailant in power armor to the ground, and punched clean through battle plate and ripped a screaming demon from her flesh. Yeah, needless to say, this gave a whole lot of good girl points in Silas' handbook. And here I just gotta hype up my boy Silas, as the law does not give him enough credit for how much of a Chad this man is, and he is criminally underrepresented in any sort of database online about his law. So please consider my hype rant his official law. This man is so big that he's able to wear modified Astartes power armor. He's also an Inquisitor that has gone toe-to-toe with actual named daemons and survived on multiple occasions. But not only that, he is different from other Inquisitors in despite him being absolutely grim in the face of duty, he doesn't believe in unnecessary cruelty. He has this pupil that he sees potential in, but the pupil is all fire and brimstone and wants to kill and torture left and right, and Silas admonishes him on multiple occasions. My absolute favorite trait about this man is the fact that he believes in having people rise to the occasion. He believes when he looks at somebody that they can be something great, and he will put them in situations where they're able to perform up to their potential. However, if they falter, he will not hesitate in killing them. This absolute Chad brings a contingent of battle sisters and several members of his own personal retinue down to the Lost Order of Relic Keepers, and this is done in order to research and verify all of the facts that has been laid before him in order to determine the nature of Epheral Stern. But here's the way that he works. He actually brings Epheral Stern alongside him, believing that if she speaks the truth, she gets the chance to rise to the occasion. So cool. Here, they encounter the Screaming Cage that retell and confirm the story of Epheral Stern, and here they begin the final process of awakening her power and the knowledge within her, because everything that she's had so far has only been that which has been seeping out of their safeguardings. But that is when the great enemy intervenes. During the process, a warp gate rips open and horrible tainted creatures from the warp starts emerging. The sisters and the Inquisition draws their bolters and chainswords, and it starts barking fire upon each other. Chainswords swirling, bolters firing, and a fierce battle takes place between the two forces. The sisters and Silas, with his men and their faith, manage to hold their ground, and even for a time looks like they're able to push back the darkness. But that is when the Keeper of Secrets, Astaroth, decides to manifest and reveal himself. The greater daemon of Slaanesh, with its mere presence, starts spreading madness, as it promises sweet eternal agony for all that transgress upon it. However, the process is done, and the Screaming Cage discover that it is not only Sister Stern here that possess something quite special. Within Silas' hand, the Screaming Cage finds a heart that possesses strength, kindness, and a hatred so pure for the forces of chaos that they are able to pour all of their faith and power into Silas, who accepts it immediately and effectively becoming a glowing avatar of humanity's defiance.
You will die here, humans.
I am Silas' hands. I am the fist of the Emperor, and I decide who dies here! The Inquisitor not only defeats the demon in single combat, allowing Sister Stern to escape, but he also understands that this creature will never stop coming for her. So when the Keeper of Secret flees through a warp portal, he decides to follow it, determined to destroy it for good. The resulting event is described in the story as somebody plunging a dagger of light into a heart of darkness. And while the Imperium has lost one of its greatest servants in this moment, I choose to believe that the reason why we don't see the greater demon for the rest of the story is because the Silas hand was successful. Afterwards, Epheral Stern is hunted by both Chaos but also the Inquisition, as to them it looks like she was responsible for the death of Silas. And during her journey, she fully embraces her power and potential as she dies a further 2 times, each time gaining access to more knowledge and more power, becoming, as what the book calls, a light of the warp but not of the warp, earning her the name Trispawn. She encounters the Harlequin Kyganil, the Eldari Harlequin. This mysterious Eldari Harlequin had their fates entwined with the heretic saint, as it became clear that the best thing to do was to place this knowledge within the Black Library in the Webway. Epheral Stern and the Eldari Harlequin cut a path through the galaxy, burning Nurgle infestations, healing the sick, and even encountering the pupil of Silence Hands alongside with an anti-psycho assassin that was about to kill Epheral Stern for good, but using her sheer amount of power that is not wholly off the warp, was able to overpower it with sheer force. Stern finally reaches her destination and now lives as a living repository of dark knowledge in the Black Library, helping all of those who are able to access it with understanding the nature of Slaanesh to a degree that the Dark Prince should honestly fear. She embodies the internal contradictions of the Imperium, supremely faithful but also so powerful that it scares all around her. We know, however, that Epheral Stern is one of the greatest weapons against chaos, and she is wholly dedicated to this task. Thank you so much for listening. I really enjoyed going over one of my favorite stories. I'm sort of a bit in a bind here because I want to explore other universes, but I also want to make sure that you actually get what you're here to listen to. So why don't drop a comment or like or something to let me know if you want more of these stories, more 40k, SCP, anything. Or else I'll just continue to make whatever my brain tells me to. So, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.